What's going on, guys? Tom Kelly here. I am the host of Reminiscent and the founder of Elemental FM, the podcast network that brings you this show. We have something a little different lined up for you today. I've been doing some 60-hour weeks at work lately and have been very busy launching a new show called Ad Astra on the network. In addition to that, my co-host Pat has been out of town moving his girlfriend across the country, which we actually talked about in the last episode, and I'm very excited to talk about it in the next one. Last week we also made some jokes about maybe taking a week off to deal with everything going on, but we decided to actually do that this week. But you don't need to panic because we have something pretty cool set up for you. About 6 months ago, back in September, we started, before we started publishing these episodes, Pat and I recorded 3 test episodes, about 7 hours worth of audio, just to make sure that the equipment and everything was working properly, and most importantly, to make sure that we even had something we thought was worth recording. So what we're going to do, instead of having a new episode for you this week, we're going to take some of our favorite conversations from our pilot episodes and put together a little thing here for you today. So up until now, this is previously unheard stuff. And we hope you like it. This is all... A lot of what we talk about in this show is the transition into new cities and new situations, and this was recorded when I was still living in Virginia. So I don't know. I think that's maybe just kind of cool. And the audio quality may be a little less than what you're used to since we were just getting things figured out. But you'll just have to deal with that. And at the end, I'll also play a sample from our newest show, Ad Astra. It is hosted by Jack Corrali and Newton Campbell, and it is a show on space policy and technology. And it's very interesting, very funny. These guys are very opinionated, and it's a good time. Just launched this past Wednesday, and it's been doing pretty well. And check it out. The link will be in the show notes, and hope you're having a good week. I mean, I still have the my mom's like VHS camcorder in my garage, and actually I brought it up to my room because I really want to get the old tapes out of it of the the immigration video and the John Wilkes Booth thing.
Tackling the problems of our time. Topical.
Right. Because the battery in the camera is totally dead. I can't find the adapter to get the tape out, but I know that somewhere they sell those VHS tapes that hold. It's not even a mini DV. It's older than that. But I have a VCR for some reason, and you can totally just route that into my computer and rip the audio and video off of it because I want that stuff online so badly.
I think we should screen it first and make a decision because I think so. I guess background. This will never see publication, I'm sure, but
sure.
We were making videos for history class, and our Lincoln video was star-studded. We pulled out all of our friends to do it, and for whatever reason, it clicked. Everyone brought their A game, and that was really funny. And everyone loved it. They watched it in biology classes and all this. So then we got high on ourselves, I suppose, or high on life. And I don't mean we got on drugs at all. I'm just saying we were just pumped. We were in 8th grade. And and then we tried to make a video about immigration, which I don't even think we were studying. It was a history class.
Right.
And it ended up just being a collection of stereotypes, really, but over-exaggerated. And the thing is, no one at that sleepover was even still awake or excited about anything at that point.
Right. What was it like? This was 8th grade, so it was my 13th or 14th birthday party?
Yeah, which I guess we are post-Gen X, pre-millennial, so that would have been right when Homestar Runner was getting big. So I don't know, I'm going to guess 2000
it was 2003, because we started high school in 2004, so it would have been 2003.
So How I Met Your Mother didn't even come out yet, Tom.
Man, I watched like 8 seasons of that show.
Yeah.
And I don't think I enjoyed a single second other than like when Lily came back from art school and got all attractive and stuff. That was like the only part that I liked.
So that show was great for that actress.
Yeah.
Because in American Pie, she wasn't, well, she played literally the band geek. But in that show, I don't know what CBS does to people, but they networked up her look. And she, obviously, well, she's a pretty woman, you know, red hair does, you know, is you know, it's a novelty for many people, but
right.
Yeah, she does look very good in that show. With that said, there's not that many people that don't look at least a little great on a network program.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like I'm watching the first season now just because I just moved to Cleveland and I'm looking for comfort food type shows. So I just went back and watched The Office. I'll probably go back and watch Parks and Rec. Yeah, you're right. I don't even know if I'm enjoying the process of what's happening. I will say this. The character of Barney, Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, right.
His over the top broness. And I think, you know, I guess so it's not The Big Bang Theory, which it gets a lot of heat and probably deservedly so. I watched maybe 2 seasons of the show in college.
That's
whole
back when
seasons?
I was
smoking marijuana.
Okay. Well,
and we had already watched all of the Philadelphia show, Always Sunny, and
oh god, yeah.
So we had watched probably. I mean, so like sophomore year, I always tell people sophomore year was my, I guess, experimental year. But it was so we had a drawer in our like coffee table set up. So like we had a room in like the nice uptown spot that sophomores try to go to pretend that they have an apartment uptown. And it's supposed to be pretty lax. And we had a corner room that didn't have to share a bathroom. So they'd have a bathroom between 2 rooms. There was no like public bathroom. It was like pretty hip. But also it was not that hip that the university made you stay in a dorm for 2 years. But we had a corner room. So we just had a bathroom with a fan, which is begging college kids to abuse that, you know. So we would just get high like too much. So anyway, back to the drawer. So we had a coffee table with 3 drawers. It was, I don't know, basically my college experience at least was I was the middle child and my friends were all the youngest or middle, usually middle child. They all were just like, there was just furniture that just kind of appeared in the process throughout the 4 years. But this coffee table had 3, it wasn't a dresser drawer. Anyway, one of the drawers, I'm really rambling. One of the drawers was a snack drawer. Like we had the designated chips and candy. I think that was my freshman 15 came at the end of
from
sophomore
the
year.
candy drawer?
When we were, well, that was back when K2 was getting popular. And it was just an incense you could buy at like a, I don't know, just a shop downtown.
Wait, what's K2?
We didn't know it was like smoking aluminum foil, like it fries you. So we would, and it was, you know, reasonably priced, but it was usually marijuana, I suppose. And we would just watch, I don't know, man. But like that's, somehow the snack drawer was always full of just the best. I think my friend Danny makes fun of me for one quote where I think I just actually asked him for a bag of something else just to keep like munchies super. Anyway, this is a shitty story.
No, I like it.
But, How I Met Your Mother. Anyway, yeah, okay. I knew there was like a really slight reason. Anyway, we watched a lot of shows, and Big Bang ended up being like one of the. We just were looking for something.
Man, you know, it's one of those things where the people who like watch it annoy me more than anything. Like, I like accidentally watched the show once. Like someone else was watching it, and you know, they pull out these like these like jokes that are supposed to be like super nerdy and like intelligent, but it's so dumbed down so that anyone can get it. So then the people who are watching it are like, oh, this show is about geniuses and I get what they're saying. So like, I'm so smart, you know? And like, I remember it was something on Facebook where you only click on it to read the comments because you knew that, you know, it would just be a shit show in the comment thread. And there was this person who was like, you know, someone's like talking shit on the show and they're like, oh, well, you don't get it. You need to be smart to get it. And like, if you looked at this girl's Facebook, man, it looks like she, you know, like living in a trailer in West Virginia, and it's like, man, it's just like making all these people think they're so intelligent. Like something about it just bothers me.
Just because this is my fresh hot take, piping hot, steaming.
Ooh,
lay it on your chest.
Hot take.
So I think what's happened to Nickelback is a crime. I'm not saying I'm a fan. I think it's a crime of social. I think it's like, okay, so I think it's just really easy to just, man, I don't know. So like in life, we're all trying our hardest, right? And sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. And somehow this Nickelback thing picked up steam maybe 3-5 years ago? 7 years ago maybe.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you can't even admit, like, so when you were in high school or something, or junior high, and that song was like, paperback novel, and you can't tell me that their first hit wasn't like something you wouldn't have turned off. I'm not saying I go deep cut or that I even really give care. I just care about, what I'm saying is these are people, and people just, like, it has become, anyway, like, it's pretty easy to agree with people is what I'm saying. Here's what I'm going to say about Big Bang Theory. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is apparently the opposite of Nickelback in the internet realm, right. He can do no wrong. So he tweeted once that, it's at least a good sign that people are accepting a network show that isn't, that nerds can't exist in primetime, things like that.
Right.
Which was
absolutely.
an interesting enough point. And I think I'm trying to think back to the season we watched in college. And again, we weren't sober, so that it should be pointed out. I'm trying to think if, like, the Sheldon saying, my mother had me tested stuff, and, the will they, won't they, hot girl nerd concept, and, the funny, nerdy Jewish friend, and I'm trying to think if at any point, if we were interviewing a comedy writer, if they said there was at least a season of that show that wasn't brutal, but, sorry, I'm rambling again, but then I saw some Vine clip of a part of the show where they're describing a fake game they're playing at a barbecue, and he literally just lists names of, like, fantasy stories, like, and then you take the Lord of the Rings thing and blah, blah, blah. And the tweet with the Vine or whatever was, this is objectively not funny. This is a list of things that are associated with nerd culture. And I had to agree. Right. It was true.
Right.
And it wasn't anything near what I had seen years ago when I enjoyed a season or two of the show.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so I don't want to be Nickelback crucified for saying that I liked a season of the show, but it's almost like in this, it's like, I don't even want to bring it up, really, because I don't want to get chastised, but the song that has the lyric paperback novel in it, I don't know what the name is. I think that's a swell enough tune for what it is and given the era. And
for sure.
And I think there could be 2 salvageable seasons of Big Bang Theory. That's my big hot take, I guess, for this particular. How do you feel? What say you? What's your rebuttal?
Well, I'm listening to Nickelback. It's called Someday. Oh, here we go. There we go, yeah.
So Rockstar was the beginning of the end for them, right? Is that the consensus? Hey.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that being a turning point in which it was like, this is the bad version of what you guys are and are trying to be.
Oh, you know what? No, this song rules. I'm not going to lie to you.
Nothing's wrong, just as long as you show me some... Like, that was their breakout hit. I thought that was an all right tune.
I had no idea this was actually Nickelback. I do remember this because this is like right around the time when I stopped listening to the radio because I, found some stuff that I related to more. But no, this song definitely rules. And I feel like his voice... Oh, they're brothers in this band?
Whoa, I didn't know that. And he was married to Avril Lavigne, so, like, they're not bad at life necessarily. You know what I mean? Like...
Well, I mean, I think it's a step down from Derek Whibley from Sum 41, but...
Oh, wait. Did they both? Dude, there's some Canadian pop drama that I need to catch up on.
Oh, yeah, dude. Eskimo Brothers, for sure. And Avril's Canadian, too, right?
Yeah. So is Simple Plan, which is, by the way, which we can get to this later, but you went through it.
No. I almost just brought them up. They're from Quebec, I think, or Montreal. They're French Canadian.
Okay.
Which is why the dude's name is Pierre Lebuffet or something.
Super French.
Right, like that, oh god, that album was like a huge turning point for me because like I thought it was like punk rock, you know, because I've never heard anything quite like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like what I mean, that really opened my eyes and like I think what made me more accepting of like Blink-182 when I first heard them, because that's like what totally changed my whole life. But like Sum 41 was the first thing I heard, even though it was arguably just like, you know, radio pop.
So pop punk, there can either be a little bit swaying or trending in either direction, right? Like they're either a little more punk or a little more. So all time low and who's this? I just saw them with Blink the other day. They're doing all right. They're still coming out with new music, I guess. So Simple Plan, like back then, like you're right. Like, so I only listened to Blink-182 because they swore, and I could burn a CD and my mom wouldn't have to go to the store and buy it with the parental advisory. But then it ended up being one of my favorite bands. But really, I was just listening for the, like, wow, this is like super. I shouldn't, but I will, you know?
You know, no. I don't know if I've told you this story. I'm sorry, I need to turn Nickelback off. It's just been playing the whole time.
And to be clear, I don't like Nickelback, and I think a lot of their hits, they're not on my Spotify or anything like that. I'm just saying people are quick to gang up, and I think Paperback Novel gets an unfair shake.
Sure. I mean, Creed is definitely worse. I think they deserve what
Well,
they get.
Here we come with the hot take machine, Tom. That guy is going through some stuff. If you look up his celebrity headlines over the last few years, that guy's obviously needs help. I don't know what...
I haven't heard
don't know.
any of
I think,
this.
I don't know, maybe DUIs and stuff, or... I don't know.
Ooh.
Look it up.
Yikes.
Well, that sounded like a command. That's not very kind of me to say. I think the point I'm trying to make is 6 feet... Yeah, okay. So there was like so Three Doors Down came out with Kryptonite, right? I might be getting my timeline wrong.
Oh,
but that
wait, is that Creed? If I go crazy,
no, that's Three Doors Down. Oh, so like in my household, or at least my music timeline, my sister went to a Three Doors Down concert because they came to the convention center, or they came to where the Otters play in Erie. So my sister, she was like, man, concerts are great. I'm like, wow, my older sister went to a concert. Concerts, whoa, maybe I can go to one someday. But like, so for that summer, we listened to Three Doors Down. And then a year later, my sister hit high school age or something and was like, she coined the term "pound me" in the band for the people. And again, super politically incorrect, but what? We were like 13 and she was like swearing in front of me, and I was like, what is this world we've entered? Like, anyway, she used that phrase to describe. She used that phrase to describe bands that's had that voice sound, like so Three Doors Down and Nickelback and Creed and stuff. Creed is easily the craziest example of that voice style, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, like 6 feet from the edge, and when you're a 13-year-old, that's some emotional stuff.
Oh yeah.
So like, you said you like Simple Plan, and again, I'm rambling. I really apologize. We'll have to get better with the give and take, but
No, dude, I love this. I love it.
So like Simple Plan, right? So like, I do anything to hold you in my arms again. When you're 14, is like, I would, and this is important music. And it was at the time for what it was, and that's great. And then you watch Cheever by the Dozen like years later, and it's on the Cheever by the Dozen soundtrack, and you're like, okay, perhaps this wasn't as punk as I thought it was at the time,
right.
Given the soundtracks it's found itself on. But that's I feel like it's a constant battle with your younger self kind of as you grow and develop and stuff. Like, I saw the CD of Simple Plan in your house growing up when we would hang out, and they were like in a hotel room and there was hot ladies.
Yeah.
So was that the album you're talking about that you got into?
Yeah, and it was because of that Addicted song, and like the first thing I noticed, I was like, oh my god, he just said dick on the radio, you know? And I'm like 11,
which is scandalous.
And, I know, and like at that time, you know, I remember listening to it so much. I think I had like a Walkman CD player, and I was at some cast party with my mom because she was always like doing theater and stuff, and yeah, like the only music I was really involved with was, you know, the stuff on the radio, which at that time was like Jewel and like, you know, oh god, I don't even know what Ace of Base.
Yeah,
you know?
what's the song?
Music
Lie
like that.
naked on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who that is or what that song is, but that was a huge lyric in my life. Like a woman being naked but not to change. Like,
Right. No, and speaking of scandalous, I remember being in the red minivan with my mom and Greg, and
Buick?
and I told them to turn it off because it was a bad song. Because just Naked was like bad, like obviously in American at that age, like sexualizing everything and making it demonizing it, but and Greg was like, no, it's not bad, and my mom's like, no, he's right, it is bad. So they like turned the song off, but yeah, anyway, so they said dick, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so like badass. And I don't even know how I found music back then. There was like no internet. I think my sister, did you know Kara?
The name sounds real familiar, but no.
I think she went to Academy. She listened to like The Offspring and like, listened to like actual like punk rock.
Right.
I think I ended up finding the album from her, and I just fell in love with them and Good Charlotte.
Dude, Good Charlotte, The Young and the Hopeless, that's a good front to back album, I would argue. So people rag on so like we're off the Nickelback, but I think it's a good line of thought that we're touching on here is like, okay, so when was the last time, I guess people are different, but usually there's like Onion articles about like man tries to listen to new music at 35, breaks mold or whatever. And, so really like your formative years, like when was the last time you had the energy to really get into a band's whole discography? You know what I mean? So like when you're 13, you're just eating that up. You're looking for it. You know what I mean? So you fall in love with all these bands, and then like, what are you, just 10 years later, you scrap them? Like, I don't know. So anyway, like you're saying, like Simple Plan had a place in that time period for an audience, and they, like you said, they said "dick" on the radio. That's crazy. That's crazy. And for our 13-year-old minds, and we're like, "Yep, this explains my romantic situation super well with the girl I'm gonna try to kiss." Like, but in 4 years, you know what I mean?
Julianne.
Yeah, basically, dude. That's what's weird for me is like. My romantic timeline was, every song was about one person until I was, I guess, an 11, sophomore maybe.
Right.
And then Zach, I got jealous. Zach was doing a lot better than I was. He's a handsome man.
Oh man, I can't wait till he's on the call with us. Now he's married. My God.
He is, and. Well, I don't want to sigh because I don't want anyone to misinterpret. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of an intimate like way to communicate media or whatever. But so that sigh wasn't like, oh God, there goes the neighborhood, there goes the house. It's just not a super reflective. Like, it's not a super like if you would have looked at 95% of the way he lived his life, it is different than what's happening now.
Right. Oh yeah.
But that's great. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how to say it because he's a friend. He's our best friend. But it's great. Liz is incredible. So Zach, I guess for our listeners, I guess we can say that. I don't know. I'll learn what I want to say, I guess, and not say. But
right.
Zach is a handsome young man who is really into music and playing and being that lead singer type of person, and it worked, dude. It slayed. It's like that movie with Tim Motos, or no, who is it? Tim Robbins, and he like is on the ground floor of a toy company, and he invents the hula hoop, and it sells like crazy. It's like Zach's look and his band stuff sold like hula hoops in that movie. I really wish I could remember this movie, but oh man, did he do well at Edinburgh? And like he would come to our dances and stuff, and just be around, and would be like, darn. Yeah. Marina Buongiorno, like, well, there goes that.
Oh my God.
I guess.
All right.
I was maybe, so, oh well.
God, Marina.
She was the fuel for the music he was creating at the time.
Oh my God, all the Foreign Apart stuff.
Is that what the definition of muse is? Like,
oh, yeah, dude, totally.
She was his muse.
Yeah. And, if I was planning on publishing this, I mean, I feel like I might take some parts. I'm writing down notes of like parts that I really like to just like put up as like teasers,
Yeah, sure.
I would probably take the time to explain, who these people are and a little bit of backstory, just so we're not rambling on, like inside.
Yeah, sure. The parts about John Lawson and stuff. Like Cody Parmater probably won't come up again, but maybe. Maybe now that I say that, I'll make a point to bring him up because he's a super cool guy.
Right. I only had greatest hits, the gold version. I actually asked for it for Christmas one year. My mom was like blown away because Queen is like inarguably one of the best bands ever, right?
Yeah, I would say without a doubt. No, dude. Okay, Freddie Mercury.
Oh.
I mean, as far as that era frontmen go, I mean, people... Okay, so my dad has this huge boner for The Doors and Jim Morrison.
Sure.
Well, there's that line
as most dads do.
Yeah, there's that line from fake Lester Bangs in Almost Famous where he's like, Jim Morrison's a drunken buffoon. This guy had the courage to be a drunken buffoon. I don't even know what that means, first of all, but I think I get it. Anyway, I don't really get The Doors or Jim Morrison that much. L.A. Woman is good, but yeah, so Freddie Mercury is a star. You could make an argument probably for one of the best frontmen of all time. Dynamic voice.
Yeah.
Orchestra rock. I don't even know if that's what they call it, but yeah, like great harmonies. They were all talented singers. They could, everyone in the band. Yeah, it was huge. They were great. Like, this is the least hot of takes trying to confirm that Queen is good, but but yeah, so yes, to confirm, I'll agree that Queen is good. And I really don't know what I was trying to say other than that.
This is groundbreaking entertainment here. Queen, good.
Will we make another episode? Are we going to survive to number 2 is the question.
Man, I remember when I was still living with the girls in Arlington, I spent like an entire weekend, like no doubt, like just watching live concerts of Queen, because I've heard their music growing up, and I had like their greatest hits album when, like, as like a 13-year-old, just like listening to all of it, and like, my God, Fat Bottom Girls is like such a good song, and like Kill It, oh God, but I've never seen them live, and like his white like
Adidas
pants, well, yeah, the white Adidas, the white pants, the white beater, like her whatever you call it, like the tank top, and God, like the way he carried the microphone on like just the top part of the stand, like it's so like weird. But I mean, I don't know if other people at that time did that, but like to me it was like so unique, and he's like so sexual. Like it's shocking for me to see someone be like that, because if someone in our music, or like my music scene, our music scene, performed like that, they'd be ridiculed. But I guess Freddie Mercury was gay, so like, well, you could argue that it was like to be expected from him, but it was like, God, dude, it got me so pumped. Like just watching him perform, like, man, he didn't just sing, like oh my God.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like that.
Yeah. I think so here's another piping hot ramble as I continue to make this audio file bigger and bigger. So I realized recently that I hate the website setlist.com or setlist FM or whatever. So you're probably referencing a concert, or at least, people look back on things favorably. Let me try to frame this in my head and also out loud, because I guess I'll just talk it out. This Freddie Mercury concert, he probably, I'd like to believe there was a time when bands didn't play the same song every night and they felt the vibe of the crowd and maybe pulled out a deep track based on the reactions I don't know. But I recently went to a Blink-182 concert, and I was able just to look up and confirm that they'd played the same set list in Encore in like 11 straight cities. Right. And we didn't even cheer that loud, and they came out and played the Encore. Like, we didn't realize it was time for that to happen yet. So you're saying, like, if you're talking about Freddie Mercury going out, before internet, just people came and they were going to pay attention. No phones, no phone light. Pretending to be lighters. That I hate that also. But and maybe there was a real moment happening there. You know what I mean? So I can see why people don't like this era, because it seems fake. And I guess I'm kind of wrestling with that too, that whole drink out of a hose mentality. I'm not going to share it on Facebook, but I think there was a purity to it. Probably, right? Maybe. Yeah. But I think there's special things happening now too, now that we're more connected. But maybe that's a different episode. But anyway, so Blink-182 comes out. And first of all, they've become a cover band. I don't know why they played so many Tom-centric songs.
Oh, yeah.
The dude from Alkaline Trio was forced to sing. I mean, Tom DeLonge has the most unique voice, or one of the more unique voices in music, I'd say. So nasally and all that. Yeah. I'm not saying it's good necessarily, but it's what we love. And So they hung this dude out to dry for half the concert. It was just him trying to be Tom. And I'm like, dude, why not? So they played Not Now. And I'm like, if you're going to play Not Now, why would you do that to Matt Skiba? Why don't you play Man Overboard if you're going to play a non-album hit song?
Man.
You know what I mean? And let Mark be Mark. Because your new album's not awful. It's a good effort. I like it. And be the band you are now. And if you're going to return to the old era, we'll make it Mark-centric. Because Skiba is great, but he's not Tom. They're different. You know, Skiba is no slouch. He made Alkaline Trio's a strong early 2000s rock band, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so they come out and just played the encore, and we didn't even know they had left the stage really yet. We hadn't even started to cheer and beg for it. You know what I mean? Like, there was, so like, can you imagine a time where you had to earn the encore, or it had to be a good night for it to even occur?
Yeah.
And so they came out before we even realized what was happening. People were on their phones, you know, and they just played through it, and they didn't even pause. It was at the same pace, and there was no emotion. And then they left after that, and we were all like, all right, because, you know, they saved the song Damn It, and that's Mark's, like, Dude Ranch classic.
Yeah.
So he brought it home with a Mark song, and that was great. So everyone's like, that lit the place on fire, and everyone was like, oh, you know, so now we're cheering, and before we could even get loud, the speakers come on and confirming it was over. I don't know. It was it was the worst concert experience I've ever had.
Really?
Oh, it was brutal. So I watched a cover band for hours, and they didn't even play the crowd at all. I mean, and it was the same show 2 other cities in PA had seen. So they went to like Scranton to Harrisburg maybe, or State College maybe, and then they came up through Pittsburgh, and then they were on their way to Ohio, I think. But Scranton got the same show. You're not going to pull out the stops for Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against Scranton, but it's just a smaller city. Those are the facts of the case. And I was just upset. Right. I guess I don't know if I was more upset because Blink had become this new thing that was still so in touch with Tom songs.
Right.
Or I think I was trying to reference your Freddie Mercury thing and be like, maybe the moments aren't as pure anymore. That's the steaming hot take. You know, we probably did miss out on something. Even basement grunge. Like, you know, we were too young for that stuff.
Yeah, I know I definitely missed. I mean, I missed a lot of things that I feel like I shouldn't have. I don't think I can ever say, or I don't think I can say I've ever even listened to Alkaline Trio. I missed a lot because I went to the most vanilla Catholic school up until 7th grade.
Did you go to St. James?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And all I had was like what the radio served me and what my sister listened to, which was mostly the radio. I mean, thank God she heard Simple Plan from like her friend Kara and got me into that. But like, I mean, I didn't have any good musical influences. The kids in my school who didn't listen to the radio, like listened to like Lil Jon like that, or like, you know, some awful, like, I mean, Lil Jon, he had some good songs, but it's just like when I went to Iroquois,
he's got the beast to make your booty go.
No, that's Ludacris.
No, Ludacris.
No, Phil Cups like double D's.
Wait, now you got me curious. Lil Jon got the
take that, rewind it back. Lil Jon got the beat to make your booty go smack.
Yeah, take that, rewind it back. Ursher's got the voice to make your booty go smack.
I don't know.
Ursher. Yeah, he would say Ursher, and then Ludacris got the. You'd assume it'd be emceeing or something related to, you know, his ability to being a real dope rapper, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I threw you off there.
No, that's all right. But I mean, I feel like I didn't hear like, you know, people say like real music, but like I didn't hear the things that I was actually interested in until Iroquois, and that like I don't know what person I would be today if it was not for Iroquois in 8th grade.
That was a good year.
Oh, I don't think I will ever have a year in my life that tops that. Like, that was the biggest
First of
turning
all,
point.
you know how many more years there are going to be, dude? That's the worst attitude.
No, I mean...
But I see your point. It was a pretty phenomenal year.
So, like, God, in 8th grade, man, like, let me think of all the bands I discovered. I think Green Day.
Sure.
That was right when American Idiot came out, and that album is... amazing. I don't care what anyone says. Obviously, their older stuff is better.
Sure.
And when I listen to Green Day, when I think of Green Day, I think of like, you know, obviously like Dookie. I think Warning is their best album. It's definitely the weirdest one. kind of the outcast of all the others. But I had Green Day. I was already knew about Blink-182 at that point. I found them in like 6th grade. But Less Than Jake, Goldfinger, like MXPX and Pennywise. Like I didn't listen to much of them, but I had some of their.
Los Angeles is burning, dude.
I don't think I this is when it was either Kazaa or LimeWire came out. So like the only songs I had from these bands were their singles because that's all you could really find. But that was also Alex Burtis, right? Chode.
Yeah, but he spelled Chode differently than Chode from Academy did. Which,
right.
God, I cut this part out.
Yeah.
I think Chode from Academy, though, just to be clear, CHOAD, and Lawrence Park Chode was CHODE. But to be also even more clear, they both made it wildly known that they hated that nickname. So.
Oh, Ryan, like
obviously,
he would get violent over it.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know who would like it.
Sorry, dude. Sorry to both of you.
But man, like I was in marching band, and I begged my mom to not make me do marching band, and like mostly it was because Stephanie, who I was dating at the time, like gave me horrible for doing that because it was like practice 6 days a week and then like one performance on a Saturday, and she was like, "Oh, so you're going to do this rather than see me?" And like, if I didn't go to her house every day after school, I never heard the end of it. So I like never had friends.
She was your Julianne,
just
right?
like,
she was your childhood thing.
Well, it's funny because Megan, I still complain about Stephanie, and she's like, "Man, you're not over it. Like, you need to stop talking about her. It's been like 12 years." But like, I am still so angry that I dated this girl for 5 years because
angry, dude.
I broke up.
You at the age and the time, it had to happen, dude.
I know, but like it was terrible. Like I broke up with her after 2 weeks of dating, and like she kept calling me, and I didn't even want to get back together with her, but it was like I felt so sorry for her that I like asked her out again, and then we just dated for like another 4.5 years or like 5 years. And dude, honestly, it was like my first relationship, and I didn't know that it wasn't like supposed to be miserable. I just thought that's like how like
sure.
I didn't know anything else. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna like marry this girl. We've been together for like 6 months. I'm 13 years old. That's like how this happens, right?
Yeah, I remember you talking about like, future wife alert.
Oh, it was bad, man. And like when we
tried to set me up with one of her friends.
I did.
If your argument currently is that Stephanie was perhaps not fantastic, her friend, you shouldn't have invited me to the movies that night. That was not right. That was brutal, dude. I have never talked about this with you, I don't think, at length, but what did you expect me to do in that scenario?
Well, no, it was her friend was like new to town, and she was looking for friends, and she's like, well, how about like we get one of your friends to go with her? Not like as a double date. I mean,
okay. I thought there were romantic implications, and I was like,
no, dude.
Perhaps she was a nice girl, and I would have been able to find that out had she said a word. You know what I mean? This is not a looks-related argument. This is simply, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to come out here and say like, oh, like this isn't a sitcom. It's not a looks thing. I think she might have been silent the whole time. There was nothing. And then there was that moment at the seats where like you and Steph were obviously going to sit next to each other. And I think I tried to sit next to you, which was admittedly, perhaps given the moment, not nice, but I ended up sitting next to her, and we watched Dan in Real Life, which is I actually like that movie.
I forget what happened. They had like a beach house, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so his head's on a stack of pancakes on the cover. I think basically Dane Cook is his brother.
Dane Cook was in it.
Yeah, dude.
Man, he was so. I almost said like so hot, meaning like attractive, but like in 8th grade, he was like. He was it, right? I mean, he was the first
person to connect with fans on social media, and that was... Dude, you know what I was watching? He's in Mystery Men. He tries out for their superhero team. That came out in like 99. I looked this up last night.
I don't know what Mystery Men is.
Mystery Men is like Ben Stiller's superhero movie, so like Kel is in it, and
what?
A few more comedians, and they pretend...
Wait, it's Kel? Like Keenan and Kel? Like the skinny guy?
Kel Mitchell, yeah.
Kel's the skinny one, right?
Yeah, he plays a guy that can get invisible, but no one else can be looking, and he can't even be looking at himself. And so, obviously they're like, how do you know? He's like, you can feel it. I don't know. It's a dorky, like, teen comedy that Ben Stiller would have come out with in the 90s. But yeah, Dane Cook was in it. And there's another hot take, and I'll save this one for later, but the argument basically is don't Nickelback Dane Cook, because people our age, like, I feel like the same dudes that were howling to Dane Cook records on the way home or CDs,
right,
on the way home from basketball games are the same ones that are just trashing him now. And I'm like, just because it got popular to trash him, I know for a fact that your gut was busted. Like, you were howling on that bus.
Man. Was it harmful if swallowed? Well,
the heist bit. I'm specifically referring to the heist bit. Don't sit here and tell me Dane Cook hasn't come out with a quality hour of comedy.
No, he was
and Louis
hilarious.
have already settled their plagiarism stuff. Can we just... I just don't want to see him get Nickelbacked because you've laughed at a Dane Cook joke before.
Oh my God, he was so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
Perhaps the thing is, I didn't have cable growing up, so I didn't see the special where he dove around the stage and made a fool of himself.
Well, that's what kind of did it for me. Like, I listened to that Harmful If Swallowed album, which is like 58 minutes long. I listened to it probably like 20 times, like over and over and over, and I laughed my ass off every single time. But I didn't have cable either, but my friend Carabarto had the DVD, and this was after his second album came out, and he was on that circular stage. And there was something about his physical performance that turned me off to him. Like, I don't think I could listen to him anymore because, I mean, he was funny, and I know that, like, stand-up comedy, like, I mean, you would probably know, like, is an act of itself. Like,
it's
but
like
there
a
was
different art form, yeah, sure.
Right. So, like, I just felt like it was much less relatable when you saw him and were able to see, like, how much of a performance it was.
Yeah, so I can see why. So, like, this is just ripping off Mark Maron here at this point. We don't have to publish this part, but basically, so David Spade, when he was getting interviewed by Mark Maron, his basic, thing was he had a little, what's the thing where you hit the dun, 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 like where they do school announcements on. Anyway, he had a little
PSA?
thing. He had a xylophone in his act coming up, and Dennis Miller told him, don't be a prop guy. But Carrot Top is very successful and has a prop. So, like, among comedians, like, do you have what it takes to just give it to a crowd with just your voice and nothing else?
Right.
And, so I can imagine him being so physical turned a lot of comedians off because he's just a clown. This is just a slapstick routine or whatever. So I can see why he would have turned people off that way, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, it was bizarre, like, because I went in fully expecting to love it, and at this point he wasn't getting as much crap as he ended up getting, so I don't think there was much of a bias from, like, my peers thinking, like, oh, well, he's not cool now, so I don't think he is either. But which again, definitely happens. I mean,
like, he's not, I'm not saying, so, like, I don't want people to come away from this podcast saying that I was arguing that Nickelback was one of the great alt bands, or that Dane Cook was even in the top 30 best comedians stand-ups of all time. He's probably not even in the top 100. There's so many great ones. Yeah. But I guess the point is just people have your own opinions, right? Okay? Right. But also, I think people might also listen to this, if they ever do, which they probably won't. This is a test. But they'll also be like, man, what era did they grow up in? These are the things that were shoved down their throats. Yeah, dude. So people, we weren't 90s kids. So, like, we were born in the 90s, but are we 90s kids? But we were really consuming media in the early 2000s, which was the worst time. It was the worst time. I mean, no, actually, I love it. I love every bit of it. I could eat up.
It was amazing.
I could eat up. I could listen to. I still listen to Taking Back Sunday's first album.
Oh my God.
Weekly at work.
Well, here's the thing: Where You Want to Be is definitely the better album, but everyone in the world disagrees with that.
Yeah,
I think Where You Want to Be is the best album. Probably, I think it's in my top 5 of all time.
Yeah, I'll give you that. The thing is, it was so associated with our, like, senior year stuff, those songs, that it is, I can't really do it at work that much. That slow burning on the inside, or slow dancing on the inside.
Slow dance on the inside, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, something about that. So sick of being tired, and oh, so tired of being sick. Yeah, that first song, that first guitar riff on that first album of Tell All Your Friends, there's something about the rawness and just like, you know, it was our basement yellers. You know what I mean? That's just who was hot while we were, and again, not like attractiveness like you said.
Oh, no, Adam Lazar's a good-looking dude. So was Fred Mascherino.
You know, this isn't interesting. There were some Taking Back Sunday lead singer copycats. Like, you were talking about Freddie Mercury and good frontman. Oh, my God,
yeah.
He was a mic swinger, which was unique enough for us to at least be like, this is different enough.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember even like local Erie bands, man, there were so many Taking Back Sunday ripoffs where like, I mean, my friend Nate Norgren, he sang in a band called This Is the Weather. We played a couple shows with them. And I mean, I think they did the same thing. He had like that greasy long hair with like the middle part, or no, it was like,
yeah, they would like put their hands near their face and be like, I'm so stressed while singing, you know,
right,
like,
right.
Oh, don't make me so, I'll swing it now though.
And like, the super effeminate, like, you know,
it was a performance, really. I mean, it was as much about them acting anxious as it was about the singing and the swinging of the mic and the
no, you weren't there. We played a talent show at Academy at high school, where it was Nick Taylor sang, I was playing drums. Adam Stolarski was playing lead guitar, and I forget who played the other instruments. Maybe like Sam Cray, like Jay Gordon. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But we had
that was a super group for Academy.
Right. We had to try out for the talent show for Mr. Lute, the band teacher, and we played. Oh God, this is embarrassing. She said, "Don't." What's that song called?
You're so last.
You're so last summer. I kept wanting to say it smells like Teen Spirit.
The Clock rapper, who's what's his name?
Flava Flav.
Yeah, he lip syncs in the video.
That was
it's utterly
so
hilarious,
funny. But so
people hate on that. I feel like that was a quality, funny music video.
Oh my God, it was so funny. Yeah. So we played a medley of Down by Blink-182 that went into You're So Last Summer, which was like super random. But in Mr.
Well, we were playing that in the band too, though. I feel like
I think we played Down.
Because Adam sang Down at the gay club when we got that one gig at the gay club.
Oh man, I'm gonna write that down. I got to come back to the gay club. So we were playing You're So Last Summer, and Nick Taylor started swinging the microphone, and the microphone came off of the cable, and it flew across the stage into the wings, and he had to run to go pick up the microphone and put it back. And like, you know, Mr. Lute was a dick, and like we thought he was gonna like be so pissed
because he had teenagers literally hurling his equipment across. He doesn't have the budget to replace that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no one cares about arts and music in high schools anymore.
Yeah, you were lucky to even bring an instrument inside the doors.
Man. Oh man, I know. But he didn't. He like didn't even notice, which I thought was hilarious.
The public school system, how out of touch our teachers. No, just kidding. It was good in high school.
Oh my God, yeah, it was great. I also
he swung the mic. That's classic.
Oh, dude, it was so funny. Like he just like windmilled it right off of the stage.
I bet you any money Adam was wearing that T-shirt, that brand new T-shirt that said "Mics are for singing, not for swinging." I've used the term "piping hot" more in this last hour than I have in my entire life, but that piping hot punk emo feud between Taking Back Sunday and Brand New, were even like 20 years later, or however long it is, 10 years maybe. Somebody wrote a feature about Taking Back Sunday, and they interviewed him about that. I guess Jesse Lacey used to be in Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah, I guess so.
And Adam Lazaro was just like, well, I think the problem there is Jesse Lacey's just a dick. Like, he's just a bad person fundamentally. And that's crazy. Like, one of them slept with a sister, but yeah, that was the feud of a lifetime there.
That's so funny.
All right, guys. So that's what we have for you today on this week, episode 19 of Reminiscent. Some very old footage, do you call it? I hope you liked it. That was some stuff I've been wanting to publish for a while, and we finally have a reason to do it. And for the rest of the episode, I'm going to play a clip of our newest podcast. It's called Ad Astra. It's on space policy and technology. And if you're into that kind of thing, you can go to www.elemental.fm/Ad Astra to check out I think by the time this is published, there'll be 4 episodes. You can find the show notes, links to everything, and you can get in touch with them on Twitter. They have a Facebook, and you can find all that in the show notes too. Have a good week.
As we talked about a little bit last week, and as has been discussed over the course of the past week with the EPA's with the new head of the EPA stating that he doesn't believe carbon is a contributing factor to climate change. Well, hate to break it to you, but the last 40 some odd years of research says it is, and and OCO3, its primary mission is monitoring that. So we have 4 missions that are critical both to climate change as well as other factors, other missions here on Earth, from health to military, that are being proposed to be wiped out by this budget.
So if this budget's put in place and it cuts these 4 programs or these 4 missions, that would mean that we're cutting funding for research into sea, land, air, and space weather monitoring. Just across the entire board, we are just going to be blind to changes in those things. I mean, not completely blind. There are still satellites up there. We can't forget that. But our capabilities are going to be diminished, and our skills are going to start to atrophy as we kind of stick to these satellites that have been up there for a while, and we're not using new instruments or inventing new things. So I mean, and this has a real impact on people.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is something that maybe isn't discussed as often as it probably should be in the halls of Congress, is that cuts to these programs mean that farmers aren't going to have the same amount of data that they can use to determine, when to start growing crops, when to plant, when to harvest. These are fisheries that aren't really going to know when, the prime time is to fish. I mean, military communications is going to take a hit, I'm sure, because, I mean, solar wind is a serious threat. I know, Newton, you've worked on projects involving solar wind like this. It's an actual threat. Like, it's not some pie in the sky idea that you have that, maybe if this one thing happened, we'd all be, screwed. But like, it could, because it happens.
Right. And it's interesting that that the focus here and the rhetoric seems to be around, NASA should be doing, should be focused on space exploration, as and leaving the excuse is that Earth sciences should be left up to NOAA and EPA before those get cut.
Just move everything over into NOAA and then cut NOAA.
But I mean, is NOAA really going to start monitoring solar winds? I mean, they do, and to some extent, with the help of NASA, to determine their impact here on Earth, like on our upper atmosphere. But who's going to be whose job is it then to start monitoring solar winds to see how it can impact our space infrastructure?
I've been noticing that the administration, from Trump to Bannon to the interns, they all seem to have this idea that we're still stuck in this Cold War mentality where the only thing that matters in space is doing those really big, flashy things and not developing the capabilities to continue day-to-day life, comfortable day-to-day life for everyone on Earth. I mean, space is integral to that, to any 21st century society.
There's all this talk about U.S. dominance and U.S. having this great this great for lack of a better term, infrastructure that leads to that sort of dominance. Space is a part of our infrastructure. It is a part of our day-to-day operation. Our space infrastructure is critical to the way that we live our daily lives, as well as deal with an innumerable amount of disasters. So to take programs like this away, I don't want to I don't want to continue to just rail on this without doing without talking a little bit more analytically, but this is dangerous. It really is.
It sets it. These are some dangerous priorities that they don't care about the day-to-day operations of space. Planetary science programs and SLS and Orion got funding boosts. Like they are making money out of this budget. Obviously, that's where that's where the administration's priorities are. But if you talk to any NASA civilian employee, they're going to say, that's not the only thing we do. We do so much more other things and are stretched so thin in so many other areas that like the places, that you shouldn't be cutting are these programs that monitor the Earth.
Well, and kind of going back to the overall strategy, and I'll stop railing against this in a minute, but
give it a couple minutes.
But this kind of, in some ways, this is not surprising, in that it kind of feeds into that isolationist mentality of we don't really need to, we don't really need to have, these sort of ties to the rest of the world internationally, because going back to news that was reported back in December and November when international scientists were going and downloading all of the Earth science data that we have available, we feed this information out to the rest of the world using these capabilities that we've developed. Now we're getting to a point where this combined with other executive decisions that have been made, it's really promoting the notion that scientists should just kind of stay overseas, and decrease the amount of brain trust that's typically pulled into the United States.
And other countries aren't spending the same amount of capital on programs like this, but they soon will start to if they realize that, okay, there's all of these scientists and engineers coming over from the United States because it's not a welcome environment for scientists and engineers and researchers. They're going to say, okay, well, this is something that will strengthen our economy. They'll see these benefits immediately, that it'll strengthen their economy. It'll create a smarter workforce. It will, create so much more innovation, both in the public sector and the private sector. Science. Save science, you save the world, is what I've been saying since this budget came out. Because without science, without you don't have the inspiration to do that. And that's another thing I want to touch on is the education side of it too, that this budget, if passed, because let's not forget that this is just what the president says, their actual budget won't come out till May. And then even then Congress is going to say, okay, thanks very much, but whatever. But if parts of this budget get in, and one of them is the NASA portion, we're losing the entire Office of Education, which is about 1% of NASA's overall budget. It's about $115 million that they're cutting completely. And all of the directorates within NASA, sort of the different sub-agencies, if you will, have their own offices of education. So the Planetary Science Division, they have their own education division that goes to schools and talks about planetary science. You have the space tech people have their own office of education, but NASA has an overarching office of education, which is their sole job is to influence the scientists of tomorrow and engage them and inspire them so that they eventually, get fed into that NASA pipeline and create a smarter and better agency. But eliminating that eliminates that inspiration for future scientists. And they may still become scientists in the future, the kids of today, but the kids these days, but they might not go to NASA. They might move to Belgium, might move to China, might move. They could move anywhere else in the world now that we're in such a connected global world. regardless of whether you like that or not, that's the reality we live in. And people, the smart folks are going to weigh the pros and cons and say, well, if I move to Germany, like I could get a free education out of this. And, they have a, blossoming space program. I'm just going to move there. And you're going to see this brain trust in the US start to diminish.
Ba, 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 ba.